Hey guys, guess who? That's right, I'm back. Maxine here, your favorite YouTuber, friend, and senior class president. I know a good handful of you aren't fans, and that's okay. My ask of each and every one of you this year, and to myself, is that we all really put ourselves out there. You never know, once we graduate, we might never see one another again. Be your best self this year. Always make your next best choice. We all screw up, but remember, it's not what happens, it's how we react and respond to what happens. So, smile at someone you've never smiled at before. Get to know your class. Eat lunch with someone you've never talked to before. So if you know me, and most of you do, I'm a girl that puts a pen to paper, the pedal to the metal. So I'm gonna be coming for you. From our teachers and our parents, to our new freshman class, and the person I've never known, be ready. For my senior class legacy, I'm gonna jump back on my infamous YouTube channel and shoot a video that hopefully none of us will ever forget. I'm gonna document the day and lives of my friends and acquaintances at good old Heritage High and our community that surrounds us. I hope you're ready. I am. You were my first. Thanks, Martin.
I'm supposed to be doing this with people who don't know.
You don't know me.
Yeah, I don't know you.
So go. I'm rolling.
Fine, but what do you want me to say?
Shut up, just go.
All right, cool. But first, there's a date.
Go.
Oh, honey, I'm not that interesting, but thank you for thinking of me. Oh, all right. I've been here since what seems like forever. I love this damn school. It's my home away from home.
I work out, I play football, and girls love me. I'll have to admit, I post pictures of my progress. Not gonna lie, my abs are lit. I like my abs. And 1,144 other people like the way they look too.
We definitely fought about it at times because I didn't like the attention it brought to him. He fed off being so popular. And not just with the guys.
I love history. I loved it in school, and I think when you're that passionate about something, you want to share it with other people. You know, like, I felt like I'd have something extra to bring for a job of that nature.
I hang out with my best friend, my older sister, and sometimes my parents.
My name is Adam Hardin, but Dick Fucks called me Hard On. Get it? Hey, Hard On!
A dipshit's a dipshit, right? That's what my older brothers say. And it's true.
People tell me I'm pretty happy-go-lucky. I'm respectful to everybody around me, and I never really cause any trouble.
Squirrel! Sorry. Anyway,
I'm a counselor, a high school counselor, and I am paid to carry a lot of the emotional weight. And the students, they tell me secrets. And as I keep those secrets, as long as they're not threats to themselves or to others.
He was strict, but I didn't care. I just thought he had short man syndrome. I remember one time, he called us girls all chicks. I stood up and told him that if he ever called us that again, he'd never work in a school again.
Ever been picked on? Bullied? I know that word is pretty watered down now, and people are pretty desensitized by it. But I feel like any other word would just sound too dramatic. But
They tortured me too, probably more. I mean, after a while, you become numb to it. You know, when your parents tell you not to let that shit bother you, it's easy for them to say.
Thanks for including me. Can't say that I'm shocked that you gotta do your videos again. It's bullshit what happened. We all know who took your camera. Fuck them. You're back in business, and all your subscribers will be stoked that you're back. And that Audi card payment of yours, people will be happy too.
There's this one kid at school. He's like one of the biggest dorks to ever live. He thinks he's some super sick DJ or something. He's not a mean kid. People at school seem to like him okay, I guess. He's just a little too big for his britches, you know what I mean? This one time, my friends dared me to poke a hole in his bike tire, so I did. I was surprised though, because he came strolling on back to school the next day like nothing happened. So guess what I did? I did it again, every day for a week. My friends told me I should cool it though, because the rent-a-cops at our school started to patrol the bike racks. There's a ton of idiots like him at school. But they serve a purpose, I guess. When we're bored, they're the best entertainment at school.
And I love what you're doing with your senior project. Yeah, what the world needs are a few more good eggs like you. Oh, and listen, don't worry. Don't let those girls bother you either. No. Don't think I don't see the bullshit going on. No, I got eyes on my back. Don't think I don't know everything that goes on here. You got to get up pretty early in the morning to catch me off guard. Oh, and I have to say that I am proud of the tight ship we run here. I love being involved in the faculty's lives, the students' lives, the students' parents' lives. I mean, what do they say? It takes a village? Well, it sure does. We got a few bad seeds, but...
Last year was going to be my final year on the team. Some of the girls were after Justin and wanted me out anyways. I didn't want to be a part of that fakeness, you know? As a flyer, you have to be able to trust your bases, and I couldn't. They definitely dropped me a few times, and it wasn't on accident. But Justin convinced me to try out again.
Well, I'm sure you've heard this, and most folks don't think about it all that often, but the truth. The fact is there is no truth. Anybody who says that perception is the truth, it's a load of crap, Let me give you an example. Like, say you walk into a doctor's office and you see this mom spanking her kid, and you think, oh, what a horrible mom. How could she be doing this horrific act to her child in public? But what you didn't see is that, prior to you walking in, the kid was playing with Legos on the floor, and he was throwing them at his mom's face and hitting her in the eyes. And, she asked him to stop, not once, not twice, 3 times. And, finally she was pushed beyond her limits. In walks you. So, there's 3 sides to every truth. There's your side, there's their side, and then there's what actually happened. And in this case, and mind you, I don't support violence in any way, and the mother's actions weren't right. I'm 100% against violence, but it's never the answer. But in this case, the child's consequences, even though potentially over the top, were not unwarranted.
It's safe to say there's nothing worse than the feeling of helplessness. Helplessness is a feeling of ultimate loss or zero control. None. I don't like that feeling. And I'm pretty certain there's no one out there who wouldn't avoid it at all costs. No brainer, right? I'd like to think I'm pretty special like everyone else, doing what they do. But I'm just an ordinary ER doctor. But my interest in being a doctor was a little more traumatic, having lost a younger brother at a young age. Long story short, I was 12, he was 10. Anyone could have saved him, really. He choked to death. I didn't know the Heimlich maneuver. It was that simple. Thought he was messing with me. Sadly, he wasn't.
Have you ever been taken by two kids in your 6th grade pottery class into a dark closet and shoved upside down into a narrow metallic trash can? Yeah, it's awesome. Then the coolest part is the ambulance showing up and making it all a much bigger deal. And then you gotta show up at school the next day with a neck brace. You know, you try to learn to ignore the kind of things that you have to deal with, but it just wears you out so hard. And it's an everyday kind of thing. Like, I've had people put pieces of paper in my hair in choir only to find them later on in the day when I go to wash my hands in the bathroom and I look in the mirror. Then there's lunch, and you either have someone take it from you, spit on it, or just have it smashed flat on the floor like a pancake. You know, it makes me feel kind of bad, a little homesick too, because my mom made such a nice lunch.
You ever see that movie with that batshit crazy doctor who sews a person's mouth to another person's asshole and another person's mouth to another person's asshole? It's fucking disgusting. So Keith and I were just minding our own business as usual, you know, and it happened, I think, after PE. Our fucking bitch PE teacher locked us in the locker room so no one can leave early. So, you know, we had some extra time in there, so Keith and I were just battling it out on our phones, Battle Royale style, and you'd think that would happen. It seemed so quick, but it was in super slow motion, like bags over our heads, laughing, just a bunch of laughing, ripping of duct tape, fucking lots of ripping. And they wrapped my hands and eyes with duct tape so fast. They did the same thing to Keith, except they taped his head to my ass. And then they all just ran away laughing, fucking cowards. I don't know who did it, but I'm pretty sure.
Steal their lunches, hit them in the back of the head in the hallway, take shit out of their backpacks, kick them in the back while they're taking a piss. The list goes on and the laughs never stop. It's not our fault they were born retarded. There's this kid in our art class. He thinks he's so funny. The kid is a complete toolbox, and he's a smartass too. Last week when the teacher left the classroom, we grabbed him, threw him in this little closet where all the pottery was drying. We turned him upside down, put him in a trash can, locked the door, and then turned off the lights. Hey man, it was worth getting suspended. I needed a couple of days off anyway. I guess when he was in there, the trash can fell over and they thought he broke his neck or something. An ambulance team had to come and wheel the dork out of there. I heard he came to school the next day wearing a neck brace. Maybe he won't be such a smartass after that.
So here we are. Our last year. Goes by fast, right? Been pretty cool. Got no complaints. Did our time. I do look forward to getting out of here, though. Probably move, never come back. It's bad luck, you know, living in the same place you grew up in. It means you never left your safe zone. You getting out of here, Max? I know. Dumb question. Can I come?
I have to say, It is painful for us to hear that one of you kids who have left have gone on to get themselves in trouble. Because a good bunch of us here, I mean, the ones who really do give a damn, not only what happens here, but what happens after you leave, we feel responsible to some degree. Like the Jared Tesses and Troy Tamerlanes who get themselves killed. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I am.
I think any concern that I had in college definitely waned as time progressed. I was loving what I was doing, and I felt like I could actually reach the students. You know, I was building connections with them. And yes, I understand that not everyone loves history, and it can be boring, but I was on a mission to make it exciting. I've been at this job for 11 years now, and I would say 10 of which were normal. You know, I've seen plenty of students come and go and face the normal teenage struggles, but nothing truly concerning.
There's this one other poser who's trying to place my buddy Rance as kicker next year. He's some soccer player, want to try out for football next year, I guess. But he doesn't play real soccer. It's recreational. Rance is kind of a pussy too, but he's our friend and we think he's funny. He's a squirrely little wrestler guy and he's a decent kicker, but we think he's cool to hang with. We helped him scare Soccer Boy because we know he definitely couldn't have done it by himself. He was walking down the hall one day when we grabbed him for Rance. We put him in this hilarious wrestling move. We grabbed him again and Rance slapped him around some more, made him look like such a little girl. I guarantee you won't be trying out for the football team after that anymore.
It took us a while to take off the tape, and I ripped off half my eyebrow, ripping that fucking shit off, but that wasn't even the worst part. A few hours later, our news feeds light up. Those fuckheads posted pictures everywhere, just us, minding our business, hopeless. Our parents just told us to ignore it, and the teachers just looked the other way. We were watching this old 80s Charlie Bronson movie a while back, and you know, the main character's wife and daughter get murdered and raped, and no one does anything about it. But Charlie does.
Why are people so mean? Like, I could never be so cruel and heartless. I feel bad. And you learn real fast that if you tell on them, makes things about 100 times worse. And that's why I don't say anything anymore. Do you think bullies even know they're bullies? I hear it only gets worse. I guess I got a lot to look forward to. Like my mom, she tells me that they just do these things because they're jealous and they want to be more like me. But who would ever want to be more like me? You know, they call me names. Worthless piece of shit. Dipshit. Faggot. Fuckface. And that is what I gotta look forward to every single day. You know, I sometimes wonder if they'll always be like that. In the future, are they gonna be mean parents, terrible bosses, or future leaders of unmentionable terror? You know, I wonder if that guy from a long time ago with the weird short mustache was ever bullied. Or maybe even a bully. I always wondered if something would have happened to him. Made him no longer. Maybe not so much bad would have happened. I think that if you could time travel back to take all these unreasonable wastes of oxygen away, that the world would probably be a better place. I know it would be.
High school's not easy. A lot of these kids have no filters, and the weak ones are kind of picked out by the strong ones. But the strong ones have a lot of insecurities, and in bullying them or making fun of those kids, that makes themselves feel better. And this all stems back from home and it branches out from there. A lot of the victims were the strong, non-filtered, insecure ones, which is kind of ironic in a way. I'm not placing the blame on any one person or any other, but what I'm saying is that high school is tough. It was tough back in my day. There was all different types of stressors and situations, but now with the social media and kids can just be brutal, and that has an effect.
I feel guilty. As if I could have allowed myself to fail a couple of grades just to make sure I was in the same school. Maybe then I could have protected him. I'm supposed to know these things, but I didn't. I mean, sure, he was quiet, but the smart ones are always quiet. They just know when to speak up and when to observe. But I wish now that he would have been more vocal.
I did bring the issues to administration's attention. They excused it. And I think they just wanted to finish out the school year drama-free. They kept saying it would pass. The administration was essentially pressuring me. He was so close to having to spend another year here, but I'm never going to raise a student's grade just because the school wants to make his family happy. He barely showed up to class and was much more interested in girls and other things, which fine, but then when he did show up, he was often disruptive. His father donates a lot of money to the school. A lot. Honestly, he probably funds the entire football team, so I'm sure that led to Justin's sense of entitlement. Money does funny things to people. It's sick, and it's wrong when it influences a school district's leaders. I mean, what kind of an example does that set?
I had an agree to disagree conversation with a friend and respected colleague some years ago. He had decided to put down the family pet after it got out one day and found a neighbor's kid. The neighbors were very upset and had the option of turning their dog in and having it put down, but didn't. I guess the kid was poking at a dog or something, and the dog defended herself. The neighbors did a reasonable thing, I think. And it wasn't like the dog killed the kid or bit a finger off. Shortly after that, he voluntarily had the dog put down anyway. He was beyond upset at the dog and what she did. And he felt that he didn't want her around anymore, and that he would look at her differently. He felt that he could not trust her, and that if she did it once, she would do it again. I call bullshit. That is where we agreed to disagree. The damn dog was defending herself, for God's sake. She was lost, helpless, and being poked at. So she reacted in defense. Admittedly, other dogs in this situation may have handled it differently, and some may even have just turned around and minded his own business. But regardless, I did not feel that you should exercise your apartheid right on a single episode. I didn't feel that right. I felt that at that time.
You ever seen that experiment with the plants? I saw it a couple days ago and made me kind of sad. You see, what they do is they take two identical plants and they put them each in a glass box with a speaker. And one of the plants has kind, encouraging words said to it through the speaker. And the other one has mean, discouraging words said to it through the speaker. And in just a few weeks, you can be able to see the plants change. just a few weeks. As I'm sure you can imagine, the plant, with the kind, encouraging words said to it, begins to flourish and become beautiful and grow. And the plant, with the mean, discouraging words said to it, begins to die slowly, physically wilting away. Now imagine you took that already dying plant and you started to pluck the leaves off it one by one. Do you think plants have feelings? I think they might. I don't know. I don't want to sound like a pussy, but I'm afraid to even go to the bathroom at my school. Because my school bathroom is a very dangerous place for a kid like me to go. Know what a swirly is? If you don't, consider yourself lucky. Because a swirly is exactly what opened my eyes. Showed me my Call of Duty. Maybe it was a duct tape incident. I don't know. I know you may not see it now, but I'm gonna be the time traveler who didn't need to go back in time. I'm gonna be a hero. I'm sorry. And you're welcome.
Charlie serves justice looking down the barrel of his new 45. Man, I fucking love those movies. You know, what was wrong was made right, an eye for an eye. I mean, I can never do it. I can never hurt someone, but man, I'm a fucking pussy, you know? I don't have the guts. I think I'm a bad person. No, I don't think I know. And here's why.
Look, it's not that we mean anything by it. It's just fun. If they can't take a joke now, they're in for a very hard life. We look at it more as training for their future. Might as well get used to it now. Look, I'm sure if the tables were turned and me and my friends were the losers and the losers were us, I couldn't argue with them wanting to have a little fun too. That's all it is. It's just fun. It's funny. Who cares? It's high school. At the end of the day, we can do whatever we want. Who's gonna stop us? We're just having fun. It's not even a big deal.
I'm gonna miss a good lot of y'all. Be kind to each other. Love yourselves. And remember, like my dad always says, it's nice to be important, but important to be nice. Can't argue with that.
I'm the older one by a few years. He's the smarter one for sure. I mean, was.
I mean, Keith was a strong one. Best friends. Best friends till the end. Till the end. I can't believe he did it. I mean, he did it. He actually did it. It seems so fucked up, right? Macabre. But, I mean, while the tears sneak from my face, I'm secretly cheering inside. Does that make me a bad person? Probably. I mean, but I can live with that, I guess.
What I can legally say is that the students involved, I did meet with them many times. Keith, the gunman, he was a good kid, and he couldn't hurt a fly. I guess that's not really the case.
I miss him. And I know that probably sounds so stupid after what I'm sure you've heard about it. But I knew him well. Our families were so close and we had grown up together. Our parents made sure we went to the same parties, events. I honestly felt like they expected we'd be together and encouraged our relationship in that direction. It's just... it's hard for me to think about.
Now we feel responsible because maybe just maybe we could have paid better attention. We could have led them better. We feel responsible, but well, at the same time, we don't blame ourselves either.
We all face difficult choices through different seasons of our lives, some more than others. My recollection of that day was somewhat blurred. I had gone to bed late the night before, after celebrating a friend's promotion. Give me a reason to celebrate, and give you a reason to finish a bottle of vodka with me. I celebrate the smallest of wins. Guilty as charged. My phone was blowing up that morning with news feeds of yet another shooting. But this one was at a high school in our community, and I knew what that meant. It was our turn at the hospital to pull it together and take our life's work and save lives. These things seem to happen all the time now, sadly, and when they do, the first thing I think of is what it would take to band together as doctors and nurses and react and respond to the situation at hand. It sounds impossible, but we did pretty good. We, meaning them. I choked.
It was never really a solid concern, though. Although I will admit, I questioned it in college, whether I wanted to continue on this path, just knowing that it had happened time and time again. I suppose cops deal with that same struggling thought, just knowing that multiple times their lives could be placed in jeopardy.
It still haunts me, but that day started like a normal day. I dropped Bella off at school about 7:30 a.m., like I do every day, and then headed straight to work. I was on a traffic stop around 9:30 a.m. Some guy was doing 87 in a 65 off C44. That's when she called me, and I didn't answer the first call, but when she rang back immediately after, I answered. You never quite forget a call like that. A call from your kid, scared, trying to articulate what was unfolding around them, what sounded like gunshots, screams, fear all around her. I told her to stay on the phone with me. And in a quick blur of panic, I returned his insurance card and ID without saying a damn thing.
Justin and I had first period together. He would walk me to class and kiss me next to the door. He did that every day. And it was sweet because we were on different floors that semester. So I watched him as he walked down the stairs, and blew me a kiss. Sorry, Maxine.
The day of the shooting, you know, when that happened, I was in the library with this girl I liked. She liked me too, but she was too embarrassed to be my girl because all her friends thought she was way out of my league. But she would sit across from me and showed me she liked me by rubbing her foot across my leg, you know, up and down under the table. And sometimes she would tease me, and she would plant that foot right between my legs and massage me. You know, massage me real hard, and I liked it. That was about the extent of our relationship.
I remember I was giving a lesson on the civil rights movement, and all of a sudden I heard what sounded like balloons being popped. Pop, pop, pop. But right when I stepped in the hall, I knew it was gunfire. Hunting was actually a big part of my childhood, so that sound is really familiar. So I calmly closed the door and I locked it. And I had the students get up from their desks and go to the far side of the room away from the door window. And of course they were scared, but I tried to assure them that it was just a precaution. But obviously I heard noises that concerned me, and I called 911 right away, and I kept them on the phone with me the entire time.
I got back on the phone with Bella, and I asked her what classroom she was in, and I asked to speak with her teacher. She handed the phone to Ms. Carpenter, and I let her know who I was and that officers were on the way. She told me she had about 30 students in the classroom, and the door was locked, but there was a glass panel. They were in a far corner, out of view of the door. At that point, I think I was like 5 minutes away. It was the 5 longest minutes of my entire life.
It just didn't make any sense it was happening here. Our school was normal, filled with normal kids. Many coming from affluent families like Justin and I. Ms. Strone told us to go to the room located at the back of the classroom. Not all classrooms had an extra room, but given that this was an art class, we had to kill him. It wasn't a large room, but we fit. And the door didn't lock, but it was heavier than most due to the heat that the kiln produced. I was just hoping it would be enough. Ms. Strone opened the lid and told us all to stand behind it as a precaution. But all that I could think of when I was standing there was Justin and my best friend Bella. He was downstairs in Miss Nowicki's class, and she was across the hall in Miss Carpenter's class.
So we all heard an uproar, and we heard screaming and yelling and sounds of fireworks, only it wasn't 4th of July. It was payback day. It was Keith. And he came into the library, and we made eye contact. And I didn't stop him. I just winked at him, and he gave me this sideways smile that turned into sorrow. And he just picked off a couple douchebags and left. He was a man on a mission.
You know, there's even a support group for parents who their only thing that they had in common is that they did not know that sending their child off to school would be the last time they saw them alive.
Abysmal is the only word I can use to describe the still tension that we felt, waiting for the events to unfold. It sounds dramatic, but you know, it was a dramatic situation to say the least.
I didn't have enough time with him, you know? And those thoughts just eat away at me. And I'm pretty sure that they're never gonna go away. I couldn't get out of bed for the first month. You know that feeling you get when you get the wind knocked out of you and you can't breathe? That's how I felt. That's how I feel. I just feel like I can't breathe sometimes. And it's felt like an eternity. And I knew that incidentally I was punishing my family because I just couldn't be all there. But I couldn't leave the house for a few months. I'm sorry. I'm gonna need a minute. A few months ago, I went into Keith's room for the first time since the investigators had been in there last. I guess I just felt like it was time. Or maybe it would bring him closer to me. But I just sat on his bed and cried and looked at pictures. He just always had the biggest smile on his face ever since he was little. He couldn't help it. He was just in such awe of the world around him, and you could see the imagination in his eyes. And he always was asking so many questions. What made the moon appear at night, or what made a car move? He just wanted to take it all in.
I've been looking at pictures of when we were little. I was that sister that had tea parties and had her little brother join in. I mean, he never seemed to mind. I didn't know Mom was taking pictures. I've been looking at those this week. I wish we could just go back to the time of us having fun. Back when we played video games together. I'd be in my room, he in his, with our headsets on. We would kick ass. It felt like we were invincible at times. Maybe that's how he felt when it happened.
He was an easy kid. I had an easy pregnancy with him. It was a calm time. We had just bought our first home, and my husband's job was enough for both of us, so I was able to quit mine and stay at home with Keith and Sarah. And one kid in daycare was fine. 2 was a little bit too expensive, and I don't regret that decision at all. Those extra moments were priceless. The best moments of my life. I'm sorry. I'm still in shock, honestly, of what he did, and then he's not coming home. I remember getting an alert on the school district app about a lockdown, and we had gotten those before, but this one wasn't a drill. So I got in my car and I drove there too. And it didn't take very long for me to start seeing the emergency lights, and I was just crying, and I was just trying to drive as fast as I could. And then I couldn't go any farther, so I had to pull over and I just started running. And as every boy came out that wasn't dressed like Keith was, it just prolonged the fear. And all you could do is pray. I remember hearing over one of the officers' intercom that the shooter had surrendered and was in custody, but near death.
I thought the garbage can incident was a one-time thing. Oh, I was furious. But he just wanted to drop it and forget the whole thing. He never told us about the other incidents. Or that one of his teachers hurt him.
It's hard enough to lose your son, but in those first couple weeks, we weren't even given the grace to mourn. It was just reporters and police officers and investigators in and out of our home. And all the while, I'm just asking myself, how? Why? And then they found receipts. And I'm thinking, how could he buy those guns? How would he know how to use them? Where would he keep them? We don't even own any. I don't understand it. And the dates on the receipt were so far back. He had been thinking about it for so long. And then they found journals. Just pages and pages of stories about bullying and how much pain he was in. Asking questions of how and why he deserves such hate and cruelty.
I do remember a time that I had to go get homework for my friend Christine, who stayed home sick. She lived next door. So I told him just to go ahead of me and ride his bike home. I mean, I wasn't expecting to catch up and see him on the ground with 3 bigger boys standing over him, mocking him. I rode my bike faster, skid into those assholes, and was in their faces faster than they could react. And Mom got a call from one of those boys' parents that night with some lady telling her that her son came home with a black eye. You know what? Mom let her have it. I was prepared to get in trouble. But instead, she was proud of me. And nobody messed with him after that. That all changed when I couldn't be there anymore. School just ended at different times for us.
My daughter just reminded me this week about a time when she was coming home from her friend's house and she was defending him. How could I forget about that one? You know, I just start realizing now what a major problem this bullying behavior is with this generation. How could anybody think it's okay to act like this in person, online? What the fuck? Honestly, those are the kids that have mental issues. Those are the ones that need help. Serious help. And I don't care if you are or you aren't well off. This behavior is not okay. Period. He was such a good kid. He did his chores. He always did his homework. He had the kindest words. He was always telling us how much he loved us. His best friend was always at our house. And I liked it that way because I always knew that they were safe. But you know what's crazy? After all of this happened, I started to wonder if he was good for my son. It's amazing what your mind will do when you're living such a nightmare. The rumors, the news, we lost so many friends. They didn't want their kids around us. Like it's contagious. What they really need to be concerned about is whether their kids are going through the same shit at school or online. And maybe it's not who they're hanging out with. It could be the ones that they don't want to be around. You know, and I was thinking about the families of the kids that hurt my son so badly and hating them. And then I thought, what if they're just nice, normal families like us, getting blamed for their son's behavior? And it's not just boys, it's girls too. They can be just as mean and spiteful. This generation seems to be entitled. And you know what? For that, I blame us as parents. All of us. You know, we just wanted to provide a comfortable life for our kids, providing them with clothes and electronics and getting them involved in competitive sports and just making the best life and upbringing we possibly could. And why? Why would we think there would be any harm in that? It came from love. I grew up on a farm in the Midwest, and I had to do tough chores every day. And it made me strong and independent. Independence with these kids now means something entirely different. So, if you have kids in school or you're just starting a family, and I'm hoping that you're listening to what I'm saying and really hearing what I'm saying. Be aware. Be cognizant of your kids' behavior, their balanced life. Be involved in their social media and their texts. And talk to them as openly and honestly as you possibly can. Trust me. You'll thank me later.
Jumping out of my car, I ran into the school entrance. In my line of work, you see and hear many things. I mean, what cop doesn't? You become desensitized. You have to. Nothing really bothers me. Fear is not an option. But this day was different. That day I was horrified. After getting through the office, I entered into a classroom that had the door wide open. Upon entering, I saw that there were students there that were injured. One of them had been shot multiple times. I called into dispatch and confirmed the shooting and let them know that we had numerous injured people here that required immediate medical assistance and also where they were located. I heard more shots, so I closed the door and locked it behind me. I told them to stay away from the door. I looked down the hallway and I saw a trail of blood leading into the boys' bathroom. Upon entering, I saw a student in his late teens lying on the ground. He had been shot 5 times in the chest. He unfortunately had no pulse. At that point, dispatch alerted to an officer down on the second floor. So I ran down the hall, passing by all these different classrooms, hoping that all the students inside were okay. By the time I got up to the second floor, I found Officer Williams just leaning against a classroom door, inset from the hallway. He was bleeding from a gunshot wound to the leg.
And I could actually hear the sounds getting closer. There'd be these eerie pauses followed by more shots and screams. I mean, it felt like I was in a horror movie. And I didn't know if I should go out into the hall to at least see which direction the shooter was coming from, or if I should do anything at all. But I knew my responsibility was to the kids in my class, to those 30 innocent students. These kids have such complicated lives, way more so than I feel it was when I was their age.
What happened here is what happened here is devastating. It's kind of spread like wildfire, and had an effect on everybody. You know, hashtag high school life, hashtag lit. That's what the kids would say. But well, remember Smokey the Bear. He used to say only you could prevent forest fires, and don't play with matches. And, you know, watch your campfire. And maybe he was talking about something bigger. Kind of. Well, look, putting out fires is my business, and business is booming. You know, there's a lot of parents, a lot of students affected by this. But it is bringing people together in our community, and there's a lot of people showing strength and supporting each other.
Mackenzie grabbed my arm and pulled me towards the rest of the students that were running. I'm not sure why I didn't make it outside when I made it downstairs. I just stared at the blood leading from Justin's classroom, and I started running. I wasn't really thinking. I just wanted to make sure that he got out, that he wasn't there. But he didn't. He was laying on the ground, bleeding everywhere. I ran to his side, but I already knew he was gone. I was in shock. I just held him, sobbing.
The first time I saw the boy, he was crying. He didn't look like a killer to me, or a murderer. He had 2 gunshots wounds in his right leg, 1 in his ankle. He was also shot in the neck, but I think he was just grazed there, otherwise he would have been killed instantly. He couldn't stop crying. He also was shot in the chest. I didn't think he was crying because he was dying. He was sobbing with regret. He kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." I felt he was ashamed at what he had done. Moments of foolishness added up to a lifetime of regret. A lifetime.
He stood there like a thoughtless machine, as if he wasn't afraid to die. He raised his gun toward me, and I fired, hitting him in the shoulder. He dropped the gun and entered into the classroom. A few SWAT officers ran by me. A third stopped and asked me to start getting all the students out of the building. At that point, I felt like this burning in my hip, realizing that the shooter actually was able to pull this trigger. It was a little bit deeper than a flesh wound, but I needed to find Bella. I located her classroom within a few minutes, but was losing blood down my leg. Ms. Carpenter opened the door, and I was able to see that all the students were unharmed, that everyone, not just the students, were unharmed. And it was my brave Bella. That day, 14 students and 2 teachers were injured. 9 students and 1 teacher would never again return home to their family, their friends. The shooter was taken to Mercy Hospital. He was still alive. I'm a single father. Bella is my only child. She's only seen me cry once, and that was back when we lost her mother to cancer a few years back. The fear that I could have lost my daughter that day hit me that night. We both broke down. I don't know what happened from the time that I was in school until now. Things are very different. Since that day, they've now mandated that you have to have armed security at the local schools. Chief was a huge advocate in making that happen. His son went to HHS as well. After that, I took a leave of absence. Spent a decent amount of time appreciating my daughter, my life. I'm more thankful now for the things that I have and put aside for the things that I don't.
But I think for me, once I learned who the shooter was and the actual motive behind it, it definitely made more sense. I mean, I wish it hadn't. I absolutely believe that this could have been prevented. Absolutely. But that said, and I think what's so fascinating for me is just after everything that I've been through and after seeing what I've seen, I know that I can be doing more to protect the students. And I know that I can make more of a difference to just stay where I'm at. What happens from here?
I don't want to say there's greater purpose in all this, but what I can say is this was a huge wake-up call. We live in a world where these geniuses are solving certain problems, but they can't solve the problems of mass shootings in schools. That's baffling to me. It's not a case of if it'll happen again, it's where and when. And so I would say, we're all going through this now, but love your children, love your family, hug them when you can, show affection, because though many of us will live to be old age, there are no guarantees.
So, being Keith's best friend, they asked me what I knew, but I told them nothing because I didn't. And I didn't want to seem happy about it. It's sad. A lot of lives are affected because of such tragedy. It's especially sad because I'll never see my best friend again. To tell him, to thank him. Please don't hate me, okay? I'm only human. And I know I'm different to some degree, but that doesn't mean that I should be taken advantage of, okay? Please don't hate me. No. Nobody knows what happens when nobody is around, okay? It was outright torture. I mean, my solace was to dream that one day I'd be rich and famous and they'd all be sorry, you know? But some people just take it to a whole new level. Not everyone has the balls to come out and say it, but I know I'm not the only one secretly not sad about what happened to the ones that happened to. Okay, please don't hate me. Again, I'm only human.
I couldn't hear one of the officers that ran into the room. I couldn't hear anything. The only sound that I could hear was this monotone ringing. And he basically had to help me across school grounds because I was struggling to run. He led me to the other students and he was gone. I just stood there, watching as all the students were running out. The students and parents panicking and crying, the flashing lights. One of the EMTs had to sit me down and started asking me questions. I knew I wasn't injured, but I had Justin's blood all over me, and I couldn't talk at first, but I finally got out what my name was and that I was okay. Before I knew it, my mother was running to me, and I closed my eyes, and we just held each other. We were both crying. She said she was so scared when she had found Bella, and Bella hadn't seen me running out with the rest of my class. I later learned who the shooter was. That one was a hard one to take.
My few short moments with this cold-blooded killer were heartbreaking. He didn't seem like a monster after all. You can tell pretty much instantly the good ones from the bad ones. And I truly hate to say this, he wasn't a bad one. I mean, he was a mass shooter. So bastards like him deserve the very worst. So I decided to save him by letting him die. That one split decision that you make, everything that you've worked hard all your life, as a doctor, as a human, comes down to this. Do I let this kid suffer for the rest of his life? Or do I put him out of his misery like a misunderstood dog who snaps after being poked too hard? So I pronounced the boy dead that day. I get it. Everything that I've worked hard all my life, I can give away after disclosing this information. But I pretty much checked out months ago. What kind of doctor would proactively let someone die? Who's the monster now?
Hey guys, me again. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do this anymore. I'm pretty sure that this might be my last video. You got me good. I'm still in denial, but I believe in my heart that it was an accident. It was a friend, I think. We lived on the same street. Unfortunately, I was standing right next to what I think was one of Keith's targets. Damn you, Keith. You thought you were one of the good ones? I know it's hard to look at me, to see people, even kids, point and stare. It's a scar now, but the real scar is on the inside. It is hard to look at myself. I never thought that I was all that pretty before, but now I don't try on clothes at stores. The mirrors aren't that forgiving. What can I say? In a way, I'm not surprised that it happened. I'm just surprised that it happened right in front of me. Surprised as fuck that I survived, actually. There's a lot of pressure in high school, and there's a lot of fucking pressure everywhere. What draws the line between being halfway funny and halfway asshole crazy? It'll never go away, because people think it'll never happen in their universe, but it does. It happened to me, to other kids, and it could happen to you. Safe to say, nowadays, can't ever get too comfortable. So, wherever you are, know your escape exits. Because like I said, it's not if it'll happen, it's where and when it'll happen next. Pretty messed up, right? It is. But it's true. No one is safe anymore. No one. I hope that this year we can remember the good. Impossible for most of us, I know. But that was the point of this video in the first place. To remember our high school days. Did you make new friends? Did you change a life? Did you say goodbye to those that you might never see again? As your senior class president, I'm hopeful that you did. And don't forget, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
You know, I'm not mean, hateful, and definitely not violent. You know, I like comic books. I'm a geek in that way. I especially love the ones with the ordinary guy who gets the superpowers. Because after he gets the superpowers, he's not picked on anymore. You know why? Because he takes out the bad guys, the villains, and he makes the world a safer place.
Breaking news, a school shooting with reports of multiple fatalities.
Those images from inside the high school showing the moments leading up to that deadly rampage.
They were his first victims. He targeted 7 locations in the rural community of Rancho Tehama. They included an elementary school. Another community is waking up in shock after a deadly school shooting.
We begin tonight with the horror playing out near Seattle, Washington, the school shooting, and now we've learned the suspect.
Deadly shooting Friday in Santa Monica.
When a searing tragedy struck in a place parents felt their children were safe. The worst grade school shooting in U.S. history, at least 27 dead. The developing news out of California, another of those awful bulletins about a school shooting. Students diving for cover in a classroom, this time at a Christian university in Oakland, California.
They did nothing wrong. They were just going to school, what they should be doing, and they had to pay with it for their lives. Shouldn't have to go through that.
Today, when those first bulletins came into the newsroom of another gunman at Virginia Tech, that he'd opened fire, there were immediate fears. The massacre of 4 years ago was happening all over again.
We're putting pieces together. We're trying our best to make sense of something that you really can't make sense of.
The investigation into the high school massacre is slow-moving and dangerous. The two gunmen who went on the rampage booby-trapped the building and even themselves. All day long, investigators have searched the homes of both teenage killers. In one of them, police say they found bomb-making materials. Specially trained officers searching the school today found close to 30 explosive devices all around the building. Authorities have also revised the death toll, now saying 15 people were killed, including the two gunmen. Most of the bodies are still inside the school, but families of the murder victims have been notified.